Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Now more than ever, it seems, we've got this phenomenon of parents of adult children who simply don't want to leave their home. They don't want to leave their shelter. They don't want the responsibility of financially taking care of themselves. And essentially, they are adult children stuck in Peter Pan syndrome and that type of thing. Dr. Jensen Arnett has been watching this for quite some time. He's an author and PhD. And Dr. Jensen are I guess to be more apropos to say Dr. Arnett. What is your PhD in?
Developmental psychology. I'm a developmental psychologist and a professor at Clark University.
You mentioned there that some of these young adults, they actually like being adult children. They are resistant to actually growing up.
Yeah, it's really not a resistance to growing up. It's a reflection of the way things are now in the modern economy and just the modern way of reaching adulthood. It's tough to be a young person now and try to make your way in this economy because it's really an information and services and technology economy now more than a manufacturing economy like it used to be. And that means you have to have education and training beyond high school, and you have to have some kind of experience in the work world where you've developed skills that are valuable and make you a productive employee. And that takes a lot longer than it used to. I mean, you can't just walk into a auto factory or steel plant anymore and make a good middle-class wage. Those jobs are gone. And so they spend a lot of their 20s trying to make their way into something that's going to provide decent work in the long run. And they really are striving. Very few of them are just laying around expecting their parents or other people to take care of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've read some articles about millennials are actually somewhat ambitious, maybe even more so than some of the preceding generations, and they actually are more likely to save money than the generations that came before them because they're more cognizant of how economically difficult things are.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of challenges before them, and they are taking them on. I mean, they work really hard, most of them in their 20s. They're often working hard at a job that doesn't pay very well, and often they're combining work and school together, so they're trying to keep both those balls in the air, and it's not easy. It makes for a very busy and stressful life.
Yeah, let me ask you, Doctor, what is your website so people can get more information?
It's jeffreyarnett.com. You can find the introduction and the first chapter of the book there that you can download for free if you'd like to sample the book. And we also have a Facebook page for the book.
Yeah. So what made you want to write this particular book?
Well, I've been studying emerging adults, 18 to 29-year-olds, for the last 20 years, and so I've learned a lot about them. And I've gotten interested in their parents because I give a lot of public talks, and I often have parents come up afterward and say that they're really glad to hear about this idea of a new life stage of emerging adulthood because it helps them understand their kids and helps them not worry so much that they're never going to reach adulthood. And so I heard that a lot and finally decided that, parents could really use a guide to this life stage because it can be confusing and troubling for parents as well as for the kids that it takes so much longer to really reach adulthood than it used to. We're trying to make it less confusing and troubling by providing advice and information in this book.
Yeah. So I know you've got to be familiar with your credentials with this idea of adult children of alcoholism, this idea that people who are, because of how immature their family of origin are, they kind of perpetuate multi-generational immaturity where these people stay stuck, a lot having to do with their family of origins. This is just a completely different phenomenon of that.
It is. This is much more mainstream. That's why I call it a new life stage, is because it's something that almost everybody goes through. It's not just the people who have had a really bad experience in their childhood. It's pretty much everybody that takes now most of their 20s to make their way to adulthood before they really make the decisions that are going to define their adult lives.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Arnett. So kind of give us an overview of what the book covers. It sounds like it's meant to be both informational and maybe even emotionally supportive for parents who are trying to figure out how to navigate through these waters. Yeah,
we try to cover all the major areas. I mean, we have a chapter on college and a chapter on entering the workplace. We have a couple of chapters on love and marriage. We have a whole chapter on money because we found that that's the most common source of conflict between parents and emerging adults. I mean, parents often have the expectation that their kid will be financially independent by the time they're 22, 23 years old, but that doesn't usually happen these days. And so they're feeling a little put upon that they're still providing for their kids financially in their mid to late 20s. The kids, meanwhile, don't like having to ask for money for their parents, especially by their mid to late 20s, because it almost always comes with strings attached, and they want to make their own decisions. But on the other hand, they often just can't afford to live on their own. Either they're working in a job that doesn't pay enough, or they can't find a job at all.
Yeah, absolutely. People struggling in this economy. It's a very weird economy, and it's, I think we actually have developed a new normal.
We have, and that's why I put it as a new life stage, because it's something that normalizes it for parents and makes them realize their kid is not unusual if their kid is struggling in their 20s. Most of them do. And they don't have to worry, in most cases, it's going to last forever, because it almost never does. I mean, almost everybody figures things out more or less by around age 30 and finds a partner that they commit themselves to, and also finds a stable career path.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me somewhere in my 40s, but I got it too. So, yeah, you know what? There's hope for everybody. Absolutely. And so, Dr. Jeffrey Jensen Arnett, he's our guest. I want to encourage you to check out his website, Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Arnett, ARNETT.com. Check that out. Sounds like it may be a great Father's Day gift. We already missed Mother's Day, but Father's Day is right around the corner.
You're right. Perfect for that, or a belated Mother's Day gift. Hey, if you forgot, now's your chance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, if you're one of those kids who fit the description, this might be a great gift for you in particular to give to the folks. Here, this will help you figure me out, Mom. Absolutely. So, how long did it take you to develop the book?
It took about 3 years. We started out just by interviewing and surveying parents of emerging adults. As I said, I've been studying emerging adults for the last 20 years, so I knew a lot about them, but I wanted to hear the parent side of the story. And then we spent most of the last year and a half, 2 years writing it.
Yeah, very good. Jeffrey Arnett, he's been our guest. When will my grown-up kids grow up? I have a copy of the book. I've begun reading it. I have kids who are in that age group, one of whom just graduated from college. Go Alex. He graduated from the University of North Texas with his degree of mathematics. Ironically, he was offered a job before he graduated for, I think he told me $75K and a small percentage ownership of the company, and he's decided to go into full-time ministry, you know, and so I'm very impressed.
You never know, do you?
You never know. I'm impressed by his resolve and his commitment, and he doesn't want to be tempted by that type of distraction, so he's moving on.
That's a good example, really. You know, some parents, that would drive them crazy after all those years spent in tuition for a math degree, but it sounds like you've adapted to it well, and you realize it's his life to live. It
is. I feel actually very at peace with that decision, you know, and from my own personal perspective, I'm delighted that he has a skill set that if things happen in ministry, sometimes you got to do more than one thing. He has something like that to back himself up with. So that's awesome. Dr. Jeffrey Jensen Arnett, PhD, JeffreyArnett.com. When will my grown-up kids grow up? Got to check it out. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks.
When we come back, we're going to have more for you. Do you want to remind you, best content here? It shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. About to get a great facelift happening soon there, so keep an eye on it. usdailyreview.com. You're listening to The Price of Business.